Hey guys, I just wanted to make this quick video to go over the big three that I will be using on my next trip. So that's next weekend. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I recently just added the Phoenix Phunnel to my vintage Phoenix collection, and I've also added a Phoenix Freedome 2000 and the Freak, the later Freak, the ultralight or the super light one, the SL. However, this is the only tent that is still waterproof to some extent. So it's constructed with Gore-Tex for the main body of the tent, and then a polyester coated nylon for the extension. There's a few tiny spots I can see it's starting to sort of bleed through, but we had a fair bit of rain, and I think for the majority, I think the tent's okay. So just take a quick look at the funnel. These are fairly rare tents. Some of them do come up sometimes. There is actually one for sale at the moment on eBay. I got this one on Vinted. They were very renowned, very stable tents. I don't know whether they're for mountaineering, so to speak. I think they might possibly have been. However, I'm not 100% sure on how much I would go by that. Although, Hilleberg, Fjallraven, they do produce some tunnel style 4-season tent, so I think this is definitely a 4-season tent. So if we actually start at the back here, so this is what it looks like from here. So it's sort of 3 hoops, smallest at the back, largest middle, and then the sort of middle size at the front. As you can see, there's a lot of guy lines, so it is a very, very stable tent. You've got a zipper here, very similar to the Freak, and if you want to do that, you've got a small clip here you can undo that helps to remove stress from the zip, and you can draw these back, and you have a very small vestibule area here. It's really nice, the design of these tents. Everything is, they put a lot of detail into everything that, there's double stitching where there would need to be on all these sort of very important points. I think these are Bulldog aluminium poles. Very, very nicely designed. So that's the rear. As you probably saw then, you do actually have access to the interior of the tent from here. So it does act as kind of a secondary door. However, it's quite a small space, but you could get through that if you really wanted to. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guy lines. 10 guy lines total, and then you've got a multi-functioning front vestibule. So at the moment I'm utilising the side door, so you can retract these fully, as I have done here, retract them back so you can use, it sort of gives you some wind protection. You can also obviously roll the entire front door up, or you can roll it to a midway point if you want some additional shelter, or you need that breeze coming through for cooking and things like that, which is a nice option. You have a wired peak up here with the Phoenix logo, and inside there is a double zip here, so you can zip that down and open that as a vent effectively. Maybe see up there, and there's Velcro along the inside to keep that shut if you need it to. And again, you can entirely remove this front panel if you wish. So the inner is held in with these little these little hooking loops, which is nice. A fairly good sized vestibule. And this is the interior. So 2 mesh pockets, one on each side, mesh fly screen, as well as a nylon inner door. Nice thick ground sheet. You have the option up here for fitting a really decent line for hanging clothes and things on, which I will be doing. So if we crawl down here, that gives you an idea of the size of the vestibule, which is a fair size. I think in really, really inclement weather, I would probably utilise this for, having that zipped up partially. Maybe do a little cooking in here, just away from the main tent, I suppose. Or most likely just storage for boots and things. Yeah, you can suspend a gear line up to the centre and then along to there. It's a nice stable design. In here we have a Phoenix Phunnel. So this is the same era as the tent. You probably noticed that the logo and the stripe are the same. This is their 3-season bag. It's in immaculate condition. This one is literally like brand new. But it's a lovely era appropriate sort of matching sleeping bag for this tent really. So that's really happy to have that. Haven't tried it yet. I've heard they are very warm. They've got like a kind of cotton polyester mix lining, and I believe it's a kind of it's a Dacron, I believe. The lining itself is Dacron. Yes, Dacron hollow fill DuPont. So the same as what would have been in the original mountain equipment Serratora jackets, the Berghaus polo jackets. I think a lot of the insulated sort of parkas and things of the day use the Dacron synthetic filling, and that's what's used in here. So I know for a fact that it's going to keep me warm down to, I'd say, probably about +5 degrees. And then underneath we have another era appropriate thermarest. So this is probably from the early 90s, maybe even late 80s. I do have the full version, which is wider. This is the narrow and the 3/4 length, so it only comes down to here. Because it's still relatively warm and there's a nice thick Gore-Tex ground sheet, I won't be too worried about having my feet off the ends basically. So yeah, it's a really nice small 2-man tent. It weighs in about 3 kilograms, so even by today's standards, I say that's not horrendous. That's not too bad at all. So you've got the 2 vestibules effectively. There's the other vestibule there, much larger as you see, probably 3-4 times the size, with the multiple options for opening and closing doors and things, which I really do like. Those are features that are quite often left off of modern tents. With Phoenix tents, it's always the small details, from utilizing Gore-Tex for the ground sheet to not just having a single hook, but you have the option to hang a lamp there, or run a gear line through them. The space that would usually have been sort of wasted, I suppose. I've got a few other tents that have that vestibule section at the end of them, especially the sloping ridge designs, and they just don't utilize the space as well. It's utilized in the fact you have a gear store with access both in and outside. Another thing I do love about Phoenix tents is the small hook and loop, I suppose it is, on all of the doors. That's it's incredible because it helps remove the strain, remove the stress from the zippers, which of course would be the first things to go. So if we just do this, as you can see, this tent is in near new condition. The only thing that's letting it down currently is the seam tape, but that's to be expected on a tent at this age. So if we do up the inner door, as you can see, you've got a thick nylon panel. Like, one thing I've noticed about Phoenix, they tend to be fairly crude or rudimentary in some ways, in terms of some of their stitching. However, the stitching and the quality of the stitching, as you can see, everything is double stitched. But you have to remember this is from an era where these tents were handmade in the UK. Everything has really, I suppose, been overbuilt in some ways, really nicely made. It's an interesting material they've used for the mozzie nets, I suppose. It's kind of like a thick, like a pair of tights almost. You can see there from the offcut. It's like a pair of tights, which is really interesting. But I suppose that's just what they chose to do back then. Maybe it's due to sort of its weight or the lightness of it. But it does the job. And then of course, on all the points here where it's fixed to the fly sheet, they've again double stitched, of course, YKK zippers. And again, all super hard wearing, double stitched, reinforced at the important points. Please ignore the seam tape. So although we've got water on the fly sheet, the inner plasticized coating is still completely intact by the seams, but they are overlapping the seams, so I'm not too worried about that. Water doesn't tend to worry me so much coming through this type of seam. And then of course you've got these tension bands here which allow you to get the correct tension on the hoops. Just Look outside. So one thing I've noticed, oh, actually, I was wrong. There is, in fact, a double zip. It's amazing. So it's a very warm tent. It gives off very, very nice, interesting feel in here, very cozy. I think for 2 people it's plenty adequate in its size because it sort of bellows out towards the center. It's you know, it's a fair width at the front, then it gets wider here towards the center and tapers towards the end. It does garner a sort of cozy feeling. It's a very spacious tent. You know, you could quite easily sit 2 to 3 people in here at a push anyway for 3 people, and you know, stay in the dry, stay in the warm, and it is well and truly a 4-season tent, as you can definitely see. So I hope you found that useful. It's just a quick look at this particular Phoenix tent. I will be making individual videos on all of the Phoenix tents over the next few weeks, as and when I get to them, but this is the tent I will be utilising on my next trip. And yeah, so if you've got any opinions, any views, or you'd like to just leave a comment, feel free. Thank you all and happy camping.